You're listening to the Chartographers.
Hello, everybody! You are listening to the Chartographers. It's a music-loving podcast for music-loving people where we're going to make sure that every album gets ranked and not spanked, because that's weird. Hey guys, so I am your host, Evan Taran.
I don't know that that's that weird.
I mean, I the last time I spanked an album, well, you know, it was S&M by Metallica. It was really fascinating. Anyway, I'm Evan Taran. I'm your host. You might know me as an editor of Pop Matters. You probably know me as the host of this podcast. And the Chartographers, we are here. We're going to take an entire discography from a single artist, and we're going to rank it worst to best and forget the rest. And I am joined by two wonderful guests in order to do this thing. The first one is, of course, as always, the co-creator of this podcast, the wonderful, delightful Taran O'Reilly.
Hello!
Hey, it's going on.
Welcome.
Now, we should note that as we're recording this, there is a thunderstorm going on right now.
Yes.
Which is great because we are talking about America's #1 Halloween band, Death Cab for Cutie. They are an indie rock group. They're the last floating piece of shrapnel off of the sinking ship that is the OC's cultural significance. It is an entire thing, and it is glorious and wonderful. But guys, listen, while we're talking about Death Cab and Ben Gibbard and all the stuff that goes on, the one thing that we can't do this alone, Taran. We can't.
No, we can't.
So that's why we brought in a very special guest. And actually, this is very fun. This is actually family we're bringing into this one here.
Heck yeah.
Guys, it's Kerida O'Reilly.
Hello!
Hello! Kerida is a wonderful music-loving person who actually has a great amount of experience, especially with Taran, introducing him to a lot of different acts. They've had a lot of great musical sharing going back and forth.
He introduces me more though, even though I'm older.
That's why he's...
It didn't
He's
start
the
that
internet
way.
head.
It's not. It hasn't always been that way.
That's why he is in the co-creator chair right
Right,
now.
yeah.
Exactly.
So I'm the guest.
But hey, we're talking about a band we all collectively love, and I think we've all collectively seen live.
Yes.
Probably more than once. Guys, it's Death Cab for Cutie. So you're probably familiar with them. You're probably familiar with Ben Gibbard and his Muppet voice. And they're kind of the group that kind of, in all honesty, they set the template for what kind of like modern, I want to say mainstream indie rock, even though that sounds like a contradiction of itself.
No,
that's the thing.
Totally.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. They set it, especially for the mid-2000s.
Come up, I think, in my ranking. So.
Yeah, exactly. So in the mid-2000s, they really helped. They started out as kind of an underground thing. Barsook Records gained a lot of critical acclaim. Then once the OC, I mean, I keep saying the OC, but that was such a pivotal moment in terms of like
It really was. It was
like
really
a
how they got
modern-day
discovered.
90210 in terms of its cultural. This is what it feels like to be me right now. I'm successful. And then they were a band on it. They helped define the template for the soundtracks, and that's why we're talking about them and not Phantom Planet. And that's also led to them kind of becoming big chart-topping superstars. And then they inevitably released other albums. But hey, we're going to talk about some of those albums and everything else together. So guys, we're talking about Death Cab, but we're going to rank their entire discography. Now, what is their discography? Well, first off, let's talk about their core albums. Their core albums start out with their scrappy young period for the first 4 albums. 1998, Something About Airplanes. 2000s, We Have the Facts, We're Voting Yes. 2001's The Photo Album. 2003's Transatlanticism. Then the switcheroo to the major label with 2005's Plans. 2008's Narrow Stairs. 2011's Codes and Keys. And 2015's Kintsugi. I think I'm saying that correctly.
Yeah, Kintsugi.
Kintsugi, right.
Yeah.
And if we're not saying that right, please leave a message on our Facebook page because it's fun and we encourage people to do that.
I don't even know that Ben Gibbard knows how to say that word, though,
Yeah.
to be fair.
I'll say it like Kintsugi. So guys, those are the core albums. Those are 8 core albums. But we do have, in this case, we actually have a very interesting qualifier. There's this little album called You Can Play These Songs with Chords. And it didn't even start as an album. It started as kind of their debut EP album thing.
And
it was
it was officially Gibbard's solo project.
Well, no, there was also All Time Quarterback was like his solo I'm Gonna Be Sad Acoustic by Myself thing. But right.
And this was, I mean, I wouldn't call this sad acoustic by itself.
Right,
No,
it's a full
God,
band
so-
effort, but also like Chris Walla was helping out, and you know,
Right,
yeah.
he worked on it, but
Yeah.
that was not how it originally packaged, and then they decided after the success of it to turn it into a group.
Right, so
Yeah.
and so that's why when you're sorting through the CD bins in whatever area of the country you're in that has a CD bin, you often sometimes might see this pop up of like a full-length album of You Could Play These Songs with Chords, because their label that they signed to, Barsic Records, they re-released it in 2002 with all sorts of other bonus goodies,
Tons
other
of
things,
B-sides, yeah.
a really shitty cover of This Charming Man by the Smiths, stuff you can't miss. A tape experiment called Hey Tomcat, which is like, hey, that was good for you guys.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah,
I was like,
I kind of like it.
is
I'm
this?
not gonna lie.
Well,
like
of
it
course
too.
you like.
Yeah.
No, you totally like it, but it's not Death Cab.
Right.
It was like Ben Gibbard being like, "Oh, I like the Avalanches. Let's do that."
Let's do
Delight.
Well, and so I would argue for that being included in the list because it was, as far as I can remember, the songs on there as that iteration were my introduction to Death Cab.
So you would count it as like more of a formal album then?
Yes, I would.
And
if you look at the crossovers, there's actually not a ton. I mean,
there's enough stuff over
less than
for
half
something
of
about
it.
airplanes.
Right.
But
Right.
like they're altered versions, they're demo forms. It's one where you could almost count it as an album, and especially because it's still commercially available as an album, and I have a feeling
That's true.
a good majority of people that are probably listening to this podcast, and not Ben Gibbard, they're probably actually count it as an album. They like have it, like, oh, I didn't know it was a Rarities comp. I didn't know it was released as an 8-song EP. I think legit.
That's
Right.
actually fun, and I don't know, maybe this is why this is how you were introduced to them, but in like middle school, I want to say, I asked for Death Cab for Cutie for Christmas, and someone got me You Can Play These Songs with
Right,
Chords
yeah.
because I didn't specify that I wanted plans.
But so then, like, Army Corps of Architects is like, that's like a song I associate with them,
Yeah.
and it's not on anything else, right?
Right, absolutely.
And so,
I love that song.
and
too.
there's another one I was listening to earlier.
Yeah,
I'm
but okay,
blanking.
cool.
But, so I say keep it.
All right, cool. In that case, we're going to add it to the lineup. So we're going to add in You Can Play These Songs with Chords at number 9. Now, before we get into the whole rankaroo...
I'm sorry. I just...
What?
I don't know. I feel weird having both You Can Play These Songs with Chords and Something About Airplanes. Something About Airplanes is over 50% songs on You Can Play These Songs with Chords, and so it doesn't make sense to me to rank them separately.
I get where you're coming with that. But I think that if you include the songs on You Can Play These Songs with Chords, it moves it up in the ranking. So I feel like it's unfair to just discount that one.
Okay, but on the other hand,
Oh my God.
you've heard the Beyonce podcast. We did that with a bunch of songs that we really loved, but we decided we weren't going to count the deluxe editions.
All right, I mean, it's your podcast.
No, you're the guest. You
I
have
just-
an equal
I
say.
just
It's a
have-
three-piece share.
I think
We
it's
bought
your
into
vote,
this.
Evan.
As always.
I mean, yeah, but also, you know what? Here's just for the sake of clarity, let's not include it on this ranking, but we're gonna talk the fuck out of it on the happy hour mini-sode.
Fair enough.
It comes in later, and like we can even do like on the happy hour mini-sode, which y'all should listen to. It's fantastic. I've heard it. I haven't. But on that one,
went to
we
the
actually
future,
we dive into a lot of where we would put that on the imaginary rankings. It's really fun. You should listen to it. It's so great. So, hey guys, now just so you know, when we go into Rankaroo, what we do here is
Rankaroo.
it's the thing that we call it. It's if you listen back to every podcast, I call it Rankaroo. I'm totally kidding. But really on this one, we have 3 people here. We have 3 equal shares. We have 3 votes, and as such, we're gonna go ahead. We are open-minded enough. We're cool people. Like Kerida might have an idea of what a number 1 is in mind. I might have a number idea, but if she has a really solid argument, I might be like, okay, I can see that. But I also think if I have a solid argument, she would be, understanding to that end as well. But also, I know the O'Reillys pretty well, and they're very stubborn. So we're gonna see how this goes.
But also, Taryn and I think the same, so...
Do you
might
though?
be-
I think-
Except that the first decision we had to make together, we disagreed. So
Well,
Alright.
okay, fair.
Well, in that case, guys, let's go ahead and put on our hipster clothing and get ourselves a Nook or
Do
Kindle,
I need to
and
go
let's
change?
decide, guys. In our terms of the 8 albums that we have left, guys, what is the worst Death Cab for Cutie album?
Codes and Keys.
yeah.
Out the gate on that motherfucker.
We may have cheated and talked about this yesterday.
Well, but we haven't talked about it together as a group. Okay, let's briefly kind of set the context a little bit. So, really, we're talking about major label Death Cab versus indie Death Cab. Major label Death Cab, they started after the success of Transatlanticism. They had that one little thing that you have there called Plans. It was their major label debut. It had their first real actual hit in the form of a song called Soul Meets Body. It went platinum. It was a big deal. But then they followed it up with an album called Narrow Stairs. And that one there, it's like they felt like they were kind of doing the same thing for a while, different iterations, better production of kind of the same sonic template.
Some experimentation,
Yeah.
certainly.
Right, and Narrow Stairs, I was telling Taran earlier, it's almost like their Coldplay Viva La Vida moment, that time when they just like deliberately understand and realize they have to change their sound.
Right.
So they're still at the basis of the same songs, but it's a lot dirtier and messier and rougher. And even though it's not perfect, I really enjoy it. I have a feeling we'll be talking about it a little bit later in the podcast.
Yeah.
But they did that exact same thing. And then it seems like they 1000% forgot all those lessons that they did before they released Codes and Keys.
Yeah.
Now, and Codes and Keys came out with kind of the same thing, like, ooh, look, the cover, it's a phone book, it's a phone, payphone pound sign. Yeah,
It's a pound
exactly.
sign before the
But it's a
pound sign
hashtag,
was
so
a
like it
hashtag.
changes meaning,
Well,
man.
Or was
I
it,
think
like,
it was
when
already the hashtag by that point.
But here's the thing.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, but the thing is that, like, here's an
It was the
album
indie
that
hashtag.
I think suffers from a lot of things, but most importantly, this is the last time they ever had with Chris Walla, the guitarist and producer, and has been the producer of the band since kind of the get-go. But also, it just sounds like a band that's kind of giving up a little bit.
Yeah. If you listen to, like, just the, like...
Doors Unlocked and Open.
Doors Unlocked and Open.
That's a series of, like, associated word games.
Yeah,
is what
that's
it
the
is.
thing.
And the rest of them are like one sentence that is just like
And they
repeated.
did that live when we saw them, and it was not better.
Yeah. Well, even You Are a Tourist.
Anything they did live was better.
Yeah.
At-
But You
from
Are
this
a
album.
Tourist,
Yeah,
I
no.
remember that is such a boring song. When
So
there's a
boring.
burning in your heart.
Yeah,
Right,
it's like
that's-
Yeah.
And that's we sort of discussed this, and you and I discussed it also separately. It feels like these songs aren't about anything. He used to write on the earlier albums. He was writing poetry.
Right.
And there was so many vivid
And you could even
images.
argue that some of it was pretentious. I would buy that argument. But here, it feels like this is as someone, when they have a parody in their mind of what a Death Cab for Cutie
Yes.
band sounds like,
Yes.
it's Codes
Well,
and
and
Keys.
it's like
like-
when you're like, no, I don't listen to really pretentious sad music. Here, listen to Codes and Keys. Like it's what you're trying to like throw someone off the track of Death Cab.
Right, and,
Like,
it's one of the things where I don't feel a lot of emotion towards it. You Are
Yeah.
a Tourist, I think, is a terrible song, but there are, like, a few takeaways. Like, I like the big old synth workout at the start of Unobstructed Views. I don't love it as a song, but, like, okay,
oh yes,
That's-
the
Interesting.
beginning of Unobstructed Views is
pretty good.
probably
And
one
then
of the
we have...
highlights of the CD.
And then we have a nice solid 3-song stretch. Monday Morning, Taran doesn't love it the same way. I think it's a fantastic song. Kind of the ramshamble portable television, and then, of course, the actually fairly rocking, the one that kind of sounds a lot like older Death Cab, Underneath the Sycamore.
yeah.
Which is, and again, like, we are the same underneath the sycamore. It's a very basic but very universal lyric, and it works. He associates it with a good hook.
Yeah. I mean, so going back to Monday Morning.
Yes.
Because I think, I don't dislike Monday Morning. I also don't dislike Stay Young, Go Dancing. Those
I
are
dislike
fun
Stay Young, Go
songs. I can listen to Unobstructed Views,
It's sweet.
but it's just like, it's not what you want when you want to listen to Death Cab. It's
No.
not,
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
the
like, it's
exact
like, this is
problem.
not what I came here for, Death Cab. I
And
came
it's-
here for,
It's the same problem that we had with the Decemberists. The King is Dead, which also
which is
came
my
out in
favorite Decemberist
2011.
Yeah.
but right, it might be your favorite Decemberists album, but
But
can
it's-
you admit that it's not what you think of when you think Decemberists?
Sure.
It's not
Yes.
the sound you think.
Yes.
And
Right.
that's the same thing here.
Well,
It's not the feelings that Codes and Keys evokes, not that it evokes very many, but when it manages to evoke a feeling, it's usually a pretty like I was thinking earlier, never before this point in their discography is there a point where you want to like bop back and forth with a stupid grin on your face, because that's the only way you can respond to the song, because it's just so like saccharine and meaningless. He's just spewing platitudes all over Codes and Keys, and it doesn't have any substance.
Well, and here's the thing. I feel like anyone that's listening to this podcast right now that isn't immediately familiar with Death Cab, they may not be getting the full sense of why this album's bad, because what this... I mean this truly is that this is an album that falls back on a lot of tropes that they did, a lot of successful things they had.
So sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but I think, because I wanted to say this earlier, I'm sorry,
fine.
You stopped. I would have...
I took a breath while I was speaking, okay.
O'Reilly move. No, but I think the thing with... Now I lost it. So,
back to my point. But the thing is that, like, there's some key moments, like, I think about Plans. A lot of people, for Plans, I think that was a transformative record for a lot of people, and there's a song on there called What Sarah Said, this big, dramatic song that builds to a very strong emotional coda, and basically on Codes and Keys, when they do a song near the end called St. Peter's Cathedral, it's kind of the same exact moves and phrases and poses, except it's like, guys, instead of about someone that you love in your life dying and being, at the hospital and feeling very disassociated with life and focusing on weird things, here's a song about, guys, God doesn't exist. I'm an atheist. Isn't that cool? Like, that's literally what it is.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't have that same payoff. The same moves, but not the same payoff.
It also, they've done the layering different instrumentations one by one until you have a cacophonous sound, and it's awesome. They've done that before. They did it successfully on Transatlanticism. They did it successfully on the intro to I Will Possess Your Heart. They do it on the outro, the second half of Different Names for the Same Thing. And so this is clearly something they've excelled at. So they're going to try and do it again. They have one on Codes and Keys, and the layers are adding, and you're like, okay, this is kind of nice. Okay, and it's swelling. It's swelling, and you're like waiting for it to an explosion.
Yeah, there is no
you're
payoff
waiting
in
for
that,
you're waiting for a payoff, and then in the last 20 seconds of the song, over all of these like really beautiful like piano trills and some strings, then they add this like crunchy guitar noise that just like plays this really harsh riff for about 40 seconds. Oh, and then the song's over.
So here's the thing, though, and I'm more than okay with burying Codes and Keys at this point. I'm totally okay with it. My push to you, and similarly, is why this and not Kintsugi.
I actually, that's where there's going to be a lot of disagreement on.
That's totally okay. That's why I wanted to bring it up.
Because Codes and Keys, I feel like leaves me with kind of nothingness, and I remembered what I was going to say, and that's with. Even if you're not saying that Codes and Keys is the worst Death Cab album,
there's still some takeaways.
There's still some takeaways, but it's definitely the least Death Cab album.
Ooh, I like that.
Of what we're looking at, and so that's why I just bury it at 8, because it's like, They have more interesting stuff on everything else, in my opinion.
And the only reason I bring up Kintsugi is because I feel like, much like Codes and Keys, it's an album where they're just not. They strike a lot of the same poses they did in other albums to a less successful intent, much like Codes.
Fair, but I think it's more... it's more successful than Codes and Keys, and the production is still somewhat better than some of the other ones, in my opinion.
All right.
And I also... are we ready to talk about Kintsugi?
Okay.
Well, first, before anything else, let's just bury Codes and Keys. That's at number 8. Okay. We moved on up to number 7.
Okay.
We're talking about Kintsugi. Go.
Yeah.
The album that Chris Walla left, and they brought in Rich Costley. This was the first time they ever had an outside producer do anything with them. So that's why it has a little bit more of a slightly different tone and sound.
Yeah, but on the other side of it should go with Codes and Keys. I think that it kind of took. Because Codes and Keys was rightfully panned when it came out, and I think they listened to not all but some of the criticism from that and really applied it. And I do think the songwriting on Kintsugi is not as lazy as the songwriting on Codes and Keys. At least Kintsugi, there are some songs where it's the same. He's just making grand statements about life in general, but like. I actually really like No Room in Frame.
I do also.
It's grown on me a lot.
All right.
And it unlike some of the stuff on later in the album, like You've Haunted Me All My Life or Hold No Guns, where he literally sounds bored to death.
We need to, before we do anything, let's talk about how shitty these two songs are. You've Haunted Me All My Life is basically this very ornate, this very kind of placid.
It's like
ballad.
He's attempting.
Haunted me all my
it's
life.
like the I'll follow you into the dark.
Yeah.
Sequel.
No. But even Hold No Guns is even like, here's just my voice and acoustic. But I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. This whole album, like, I get to many degrees, it kind of acknowledges his post Zooey Deschanel breakup, and you can kind of read into that if you're a big follower of Death Cab. You can also kind of just be like, these songs are shitty because what's Binary C about? Oh, Atlas is holding up the world and you're taking selfies with him? Like, what the fuck is you talking about, you motherfucker? Little Wanderer is also kind of creepy. It's like a little bargain basement Pinkerton.
I don't hate Little Wanderer.
It has a fine melody. It's just lyrically, it's just weird. Now, you could take another song like Ghost of Beverly Drive, and you could be like, okay, you could take Good Help is Hard to Find, like, okay, you kind of have a little bit more of a hook power here, but between these two albums, it feels like, and we've talked about it before, some artists will always constantly push themselves. They'll always, like, try and, like, I'm going to give myself a challenge, and that's why I'm going to do this country-sounding album first, and now an electronic dance album, or, like, whatever. They're going to push themselves into new forms and genres and levels of confessionality. And then there are artists that just, like, after a while, they're like, guys, I can write songs. They become craftsmen. Songs become kind of off the cuff and very ramshackle. And I feel like between Narrow Stairs, where they really were pushing themselves into new sonic and even songwriting territory, and then these last two albums, it just feels like, yeah, I wrote some fucking songs. Like, Good Help is Hard to Find is not a great song. I don't think you're going to find it on a Best of Death Cab collection, but it's like, it's solid enough.
Yeah.
It's enjoyable.
And so that's why I don't think I would put Kintsugi at 7. Because I still think that even though, so, I mean, fair, if you're following Death Cab, they kind of stop pushing themselves. It does not compare to Narrow Stairs or Plans or Transatlanticism.
Yeah. Plansatlanticism.
Plansatlanticism.
Their peak era.
But I still think it's better than, in many ways, than some of their earlier albums where they sound like an early band.
Well, can I posit something real quick? Kerida O'Reilly, what would you throw at number 7? Ooh, spot. Now you're in the hot seat.
No, it's between two.
Which ones?
Which is the Photo album and Something About Airplanes, but I will admit the Photo album is the one I know the least out of all of them.
Well, I think we have an interesting thing to say about that because now for a record, I started right around Transatlanticism, Plansatlanticism era. That's kind of right where I kind of got into.
That's when everybody kind of
exactly. But like I remember like getting Transatlanticism and there were songs like not only like Sound of Settling, Title and Registration, but like Expo '86, and then hearing once I saw them do Transatlanticism live, I'm just like, Jesus Christ, there's some fucking amazing pop songs on here. New Year was the first song I ever heard from them, and I wasn't too impressed, but I still was at least able to appreciate it. But then so I started going back through the papers there. I started going back through their other stuff, and it's interesting. I kind of weighed up and down, and I thought before this last week, because we always have research week before we do this podcast, we take this seriously. We don't want to waste your time, except when I'm making fart noises with my mouth. But really...
I hate you.
Or when we're arguing about what an interruption is.
Yeah. But I do want to say that the Photo album, I remember enjoying it a lot, but in re-listening to it, just during research week here, it lost a lot.
That's the thing. It doesn't make me want to listen to it.
Yeah.
Like when I was doing research, like that one, I just was like, I want to listen to something else.
you don't even want to finish it.
Right, but what is this album about when you get down to it? And you can usually point to at least a decent theme on some of these. Like, Plans is about, kind of this kind of dealing with sorting through loss and regret. Narrow Stairs is very much pushing into, like, stranger emotional territory than they've had before. We're dealing with married wives, kind of not deciding, figuring out, I don't know what I want, and stalkers and other things like that. And, then you look back on the Photo album, I'm like, oh, Ben Gibbard hates L.A. That's the theme I get through this album. He references it a lot. We get it. But, when I look...
And it's...
Go ahead.
What I was going to say is, Photo album is definitely my pick for number 7 as well. And for all of the same reasons, it doesn't really have highs or lows.
Yeah, it's just like...
It's like, even to the extent that, like, I think that there are worse songs on Narrow Stairs and Kintsugi, but the photo album, it
But there are
doesn't
also
have
better songs.
But there are also better songs on
Well,
those
it
albums.
was weird, though. One of my weird introductions to this album, I had this acoustic set of like Ben Gibbard, who's at a radio station, and he just did acoustic songs. He did like "Recycled Air" by the Postal Service, and like acoustically by himself, and it was great and lovely. And he did like a song of Farmer Chords, a song he only did on a split EP. And then he did the song I hadn't heard before called "I Was a Kaleidoscope." As out in the winter, my teeth chattered rhythms, and they were grouped in twos or threes, like a Morse code message was sent from me to, and it's just like, what the that's incredible. Like, that's a fantastic lyric. And then I heard the album version, this kind of clunky guitar, this bam, and it's like it lost something.
Yeah. So that's the other thing about these early albums is, for me, something about airplanes sounds...
Airplanes, that's the other one.
Sounds,
it's all Plans era.
It's like, it's garage rock, and I think that it's really good garage rock.
Right.
I really enjoy it a lot, actually.
Agreed.
And then from there, they are finding their sound more, and Ben Gibbard is really becoming the Ben Gibbard that we know,
Right.
and so it's really it's going away from garage rock and becoming more indie rock. And so on these two albums, we have The Facts and We're Voting Yes, and the photo album, it's still that sort of gritty, garage rocky sound, and it just sounds, instead of sounding lo-fi like the first album, to me they both just kind of sound sloppy.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing I want to point out to that, though, is that I feel like the only thing I will give the photo album is that I feel like that's the first time they ever experimented with, like, high-energy songs. Like, they kind of had, like, some decent... I mean, in the garage rock days, they kind of did, but not, like, in the digestible pop way that they had.
Yeah.
Like, they 1,000% would not have been able to make Transatlanticism had they not made this album first. But it's just such a lesser note,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and there are some takeaways. I would say a movie script ending, I still really, really enjoy.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, and blacking out the friction, depending on the day you catch me, I could be like, yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, again, thinking of seeing them live, like, Why You'd Want to Live Here, I remember was a note of their show. I don't know if it was, like, the hot, obviously, like, the ones I really knew I was loving, but I remember taking a second and being like, oh, I don't know this song as well.
Yeah.
And, like, live, it kind of spoke to me.
Yeah.
Right. And Taran, you were even saying that some of the lesser material on Kintsugi, you said, came a little bit more to life in the live setting.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I would say No Room in Frame is a great example of that. I liked it a lot more
than the
after I
studio
saw
version?
them do it live. Well, even the studio version.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just
you like the song. Okay,
seeing them just actually express it. I don't know. I after seeing it live, the memory of that, I don't know, it just makes me like the song more.
Okay.
And that's the same way I mentioned Little Wanderer earlier, and what was the other one? Oh, things that were not better live.
On Kintsugi specifically?
On Kintsugi specifically.
Just for those of us people who don't have it in front of them.
El Dorado was just as bad.
Ingenue. I remember not liking that, and I didn't know El Dorado before we saw them, and I was like, what is this song?
And also,
would you just stop and play what Sarah said?
Ingenue also
Yeah.
not better live.
Although the whole band joined in and wrote that one on the album. Oh, good job, guys.
Good job, guys.
Cool. All right.
Yeah, that's
okay. So
even Walla has writing credit on that.
So
one.
here's my double hot take.
all right.
Number 1, are we all okay with putting the photo album at number 7?
Yes.
Okay.
Thumbs up.
Number 2, are we all okay with putting Kintsugi at number 6?
Yes.
I am okay with it. I'm just gonna say that my other nominee for number 6 would be We Have the Facts and We're Voting Yes.
How
And
did I
this
go?
is
Hot take.
why I think that one deserves a little more cred.
Okay.
If you were listening kind of in order, I feel like title track is like the first really like, this is the Death Cab that I know.
Yeah.
And I that doesn't carry through the whole album as much, but like it does a little bit, and I just feel like that feeling in We Have the Facts and We're Voting Yes puts it above Kintsugi for me, because Kintsugi is like I said, it's better produced. I think it's got a more finished sound, so even if the songwriting's not as great, it goes kind of right. But it's hollow. But that's why I put it.
Yeah, and I will say flat out.
Album, but
I will say flat out that we can put Kintsugi there, and maybe We Have the Facts are above that, because I do not love We Have the Facts, but much as we talked about sometimes before, that is an album at the very least I can appreciate.
Yeah.
I can appreciate No Joy in Mudville. I can appreciate what they tried to do with 405.
I actually 405. I appreciated the first time, and then as I listened to it a couple more times this week, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I actually do like 405, and no, so okay. That was short. I think we can definitely put Kintsugi at number 6 then.
Yeah, so long story short, we're not spending a lot of time talking about we have the facts, we're voting yes, and that's okay.
That's okay.
So,
we said what we had to say about it, and that's
exactly.
where we're at.
I mean, literally, guys, you can listen to it. It's wallpaper rock. It's fine. It's
right.
It's good. It's enjoyable.
It is actually
It's the start of
really
something.
nice background music.
And the thing
Legitimately.
is, actually, I mean, I would say like.
Right, I was doing notes to it earlier.
Yeah, but like No Joy in Mudville Company Calls, and I would even say Scientist Studies are actually very nice. Just like I feel like it was, while musically it didn't advance the band so much, it was very much lyrically. Gibbard is at least he's starting to break out of his shell a little bit more.
Yeah.
He's trying
Yeah.
these things. Cool. All right, cool. Well, guys, we're halfway through the list, which is perfect amount of time we need for this podcast. But that leaves us down with 4 albums. What do we have left? Glad you asked, person who is not you. We have 1998's Something About Airplanes. We have 2003's Transatlanticism. We have 2005's Plansatlanticism. And we have 2008's Narrow Stairs Atlanticism. So, guys, we have 4 albums left, and I can kind of see a path. Well, hold on. Wait. No, I'm gonna throw out my vote for number 4 at this point.
Okay, go ahead.
Which is Something About Airplanes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on board with that.
No, let's briefly talk about this though, because that is it was their. It's weird for those who have listened to the previous podcasts, or familiar with general pop music. You might agree with this. How and Tara and I were talking about this. Something About Airplanes is in many ways their Castaways and Cutouts, the debut album for the Decemberists. This lo-fi, a little bit scrappy, maybe not perfect, but you can see where the fucking talent is.
And there's some like really strong songwriting, especially looking at the 2 albums that come after it.
And like I think the thing about Something About Airplanes is if I didn't know Death Cab for Cutie, and today someone was like, here, listen to this album of this band I really like Something About Airplanes, I would be like, yeah, I could listen to these guys.
Totally.
And even though it feels kind of like, if once you have heard more of their stuff, you're like, oh yeah, this is their early work. It's early work I would listen to, whereas if someone handed me the photo album, I would be like, yeah, okay, Death Cab for whatever.
Right, yeah.
100%.
Death Cab for whatever.
So that's why I think Something About Airplanes deserves to be higher up on the list.
Okay, no, and I think that's fair, because I think, honestly, that opening song, that fucking opening song, Bend to Squares, when they have those really raw but beautiful, cellos going, when they have that very simple acoustic plug, and an opening line which sets the fucking tone for the band, gravitate towards a taste of foreign films and modern plays. Like, come on, that's a gimme. That's a gimme. Yeah. That's a great line, and I think it's just it's very much indicative of what is there.
Yeah.
And there are other
and I think that Something About Airplanes actually has a couple really great songs on it. Pictures in an Exhibition is one of my new favorite tracks.
Ooh,
at all.
Yeah.
I heard it
on You Can Play These Songs with Chords.
Well, I heard it on You Can Play These Songs with Chords and didn't remember it at all. And then heard it again, Pictures in an Exhibition, just doing it earlier this week, and was like, what is this? And now I've listened to it probably a dozen times.
Right.
Yeah. I really love that song.
Which, really quick side note, that's why I really like You Can Play These Songs with Chords, because it takes the best of Something About Airplanes and then adds some other decent stuff. But anyway, we'll talk about that more later, apparently.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. And also, there's a grittiness to, Champagne from a Paper Cup.
Yeah.
They never got that dark, and I know they're exploring themselves, a little bit, emotionally, but, they never got that brooding or that way again. And so it's just interesting, because this is just a personality that they kind of shoved down inside the nice gossamer of what, pleasantry injury was later on. But at the time, this is they were, again, as you said earlier, they're a garage rock band, but clearly with emotional intent. There's some people that love Line of Best Fit. I don't love it necessarily.
Yeah, I actually really like Amputations, which is one that I was like, this is pretty good, and then again, as I listened to it more and more, it really grew on me, and I really like the there's a vocal sample at the end that's just
that's really cool.
The spoken word sample. I don't know, it's a really nice way to wrap up this song, and I really love the line, he's unresponsive because you're irresponsible. and the way he delivers that, and just the way it's mixed with the guitars,
like prettily but beautifully.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And also the controversy around The Face That Launched 1,000 Shits. Because who wrote that song? Apparently, I mean, and this one, because we were talking about it.
I assumed it was an original.
But, and I guess maybe it is, because technically the band that originated that was Revolutionary Hydra, but that is a Barsuk kind of show up when you want kind of band, which
it kind of feels like Barsuk's Broken Social Scene.
Kinda, but like
Before
shittier.
Broken Social
But like
Scene
way
was a thing.
shittier.
Yeah.
And because Ben Gibbard and Chris Waller were members at one point, so I don't know if it came from there.
Gotcha.
But yeah.
Right, which is why it almost doesn't seem like a cover.
Right.
Like if Ben wrote it and that other band played it some, and then he was like, okay, well now I'm gonna actually record it on this album I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how about fuck you guys? I'm gonna take that money and go
happens
home.
in early songwriting though too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but long story short, guys, we're totally okay with it. Something About Airplanes, number 4. Now, real quick, because we're at a dividing line, I feel like. So let's just briefly recap. Number 8, Codes and Keys. Blah. Number 7, The Photo Album. Number 6, Kitsungi. Number 5, We Have the Facts and We're Voting Yes.
Okay.
Number 4, Something About Airplanes.
Yeah, give me more.
So,
That's how I feel about something.
Give me more.
Give me more.
Guys, Britney Spears singles. Number 1. Give me more. So, let's go ahead. We are down to genuinely. This is the toughies here.
Yeah.
Transatlanticism, Plans, and Narrow Stairs. Now, I'm gonna toss it to when you guys put number 3 on there. But I feel like the gut instinct for a lot of people is going to say Narrow Stairs. I'm just telling you right now, I'm probably going to disagree with that. But I'm willing to hear arguments.
Interesting.
My vote for number 3 is Transatlanticism.
Really? Ooh.
My vote for number 3 is definitely Narrow Stairs.
Okay, cool. So we got a debate. Let's go into it. Okay, first let's talk about Transatlanticism. Now, I feel like if you walked up to generic music critic A and you said, hey, Bryce Ezel, if we were talking about what your best Death Cab album is, I'm kidding, Bryce, what would it be? And I feel like most critics would probably say, well, Transatlanticism is considered their best work. But we want to talk about a little side tangent here. Do they have a masterpiece? Well, let's talk about this after we decide number 1. I take that back. Let's talk about that at number 1. Anyway, Transatlanticism, favorite album. Tell us more. Or the number 3.
Number
Tell us
3.
more.
I'm gonna tell you more about why it's number 3. It's so hard to talk about without like ranking the other 2 also, which I feel like is like spoiling it.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna do that.
Populist
But
effort.
so Transatlanticism was really popular. It has the pop hits that you were kind of talking about earlier.
But they built that shit up, straight up.
They did, and it's fun to listen to, but it just is not. I would listen to the other 2 albums first any day, and so that puts Transatlanticism at 3 for me.
I feel like even with the lesser songs, and for the record, there are lesser songs on this album. Specifically, I'm looking at You, Tiny Vessels, and Death of an Interior Decorator. But the thing is that when I think about, especially when you go to a Death Cab concert, more often than not, you're going to be hearing stuff from these 3 albums here, and you're going to be hearing those hits, but especially Title and Registration and The Sound of Settling, and especially Transatlanticism, which is a fuck of a closer.
Right.
Even though, and for some reason, I don't know why, in Research Week here, I didn't realize that wasn't the closer. I'm like, that's the middle of the album? What the fuck?
What the fuck
That
is
feels like that has to be the closer.
They usually close with it.
It was their, wasn't that their first encore? Or no, they ended the set pre-encores
Yeah.
with Transatlanticism.
Yeah. And so I guess the other thing is that like I love Transatlanticism, but I Will Possess Your Heart beats that for me.
Really?
All the time.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
I
really
just fucking love that intro. I love the build. The package of that song is more to me.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Narrow Stairs, and while I talk about it, I'm then going to have Taran shit all over it. The thing about Narrow Stairs is that, again, we talk about how after the successful Plans, after they went platinum and had their first ever major radio hit, they then began dirtying up their sound. They pushed themselves into deliberate terror, and Chris Wallace said he really wanted to do that. He kept the errors and the mistakes and the muddy little bits and midgets here and there. And it sounds like it. This sounds like, in many ways, I think what they think an indie rock modern album sounds like, Saoirse 2007. But also, it works. The fucking opening riff for Cath.
Yes.
Yeah.
That someone on a YouTube comment once said, "This riff cures cancer," because it's just so gorgeous and melodic and beautiful. And even Bixby Canyon Bridge.
That's one of my favorites.
Oh my god! It starts out so unassuming, and then this.
Yeah.
And he starts building and riffing off it, and there's noise, and it's like. there's I even though it ain't perfect, and let's be real, specifically Fuck You Talking Bird, I hate that song, and also the tableau workout that is Pity and Fear, but there's still enough fascinating fun stuff going on.
The tableau workout?
Yeah, because there's that.
I mean, no, I know. Yeah.
I mean, that's my biggest takeaway from Pity and Fear. That, and also the fact that it has that rising noise at the end that's like way too loud and then it cuts out, which a lot of people at the time were saying like, did they just like cut it bad, or was that? And I feel like that's Chris Waller being look at this motherfuckers, like trying to like oh we're distorting the system or whatever. That was the last time we heard of Chris Waller.
Okay.
I'm kidding.
No,
but,
Narrow Stairs for me, I like it a lot. I just, I mean, the same thing that Kerida said, honestly, for me also, and probably because it was a single before the album came out, we were already huge fans. So when I Will Possess Your Heart came out, I loved the shit out of it. I love that song.
And for those who don't know, that is a 9-minute can-style krautrock workout about being a stalker.
And it just like totally works.
It works so well.
Yeah.
I don't know, there's not a lot of bands that can put out 9-minute songs that like you want to listen to over and over again.
And they studied shit. They made it work. Even that fake piano intro, that blur blur, and then the boom.
Yeah.
Boom,
P.S.
boom,
also
boom,
songs
boom,
about stalkers generally are kind of awesome.
Yeah.
Just saying, not being a stalker, but writing songs about
Writing songs about them.
Somebody's
It's
watching me.
it's a potent emotional
Every
drawing point.
And you have
breath
9
you
minutes worth of
take.
things to say about it,
Here we
because
go.
you know.
Every move you make.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
we get
or,
it.
I like how I was doing it like a country
Ultra
singer.
Hat and a Dirty Hank Slip.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like one of the
Hey,
best
yeah,
ones.
that's awesome. But Taran, why don't you love this more than the other two?
Because
Is it comparatively, or is
it's
it that...
it's totally comparative.
Okay.
If it wasn't comparatively, I would have ranked it lower.
Fair.
But no, I mean, basically most of what you guys have said already. Bixby Canyon Bridge, I Will Possess Your Heart, Calf, great. Also, I really like Your New Twin-Sized Bed.
I really like that one too.
I really like Your New Twin-Sized Bed.
Except I hate that line. I love it, the song, I just hate that line. It's like, there's a single pillow for your single head. I'm like, come on, Ben. Come on.
You don't...
I don't love
that
how
one
the
bothers you?
Single head.
Of all of the bad
Single-
lines that he has put to tape, that's the one that
No,
you're...
and that song, I don't like that one line. I'm not saying that's the worst Gibber lyric. For the worst Gibber lyric, was
You're
in the
right.
Happy Hour minisode. We will discuss at length.
But, I mean... But after that, it's just, it all kind of blurs together, and
But I think the same
Narrow
thing
Stairs
happens
to
on
me,
Transatlanticism.
I think Narrow Stairs to me kind of was why I wasn't surprised when Codes and Keys wasn't great, because for me, I really loved Plans, and they had already started slipping a little on Narrow Stairs. The weaker tracks on there are pretty weak for me. They just don't do anything for me at all. I like Long Division, but I think the chorus is like, I just wish it had a different chorus.
Yeah, that's fair.
In general.
But here's the thing. Kerida just pointed something out about the text. You know, you're saying how it kind of blurred together. I feel like Narrow Stairs is an album where I feel like I just get so much different color out of that album.
Yeah.
But you just pointed out kind of the monotony of Transatlanticism from a purely sonic level. I see that.
And like I don't like the sound of settling.
Well, you're wrong.
I
But
think
that's
it's an
fine.
annoying song. I don't
you're totally
like
wrong.
it.
It's fine.
At least
Which
it's
is
only
fine.
2
We
minutes.
can talk
Exactly,
about it. At least
yeah.
it's only 2 minutes. That's fine. But like, I don't know. I am not feeling strongly enough about this that I'm gonna fight Taran tooth and nail on number 3. But
Well, Evan is.
I guess
so. My vote is with Transatlanticism.
Right. Well, here's.
I don't know. I guess Transit.
Yeah, I know. I was feeling the exact same thing.
Narrow
to be fair,
Stairs
that's
for
been
me.
me for the last 2 days. I just made the decision already, and I'm sticking to it.
Narrow Stairs for me. Yes, it has a lot of different colors to it, but it has a lot of different colors in those big standout tracks that we've mentioned already. And then when you get to the rest, I don't think.
Okay, so
They
now
stand
you
out.
have to make the case for Transatlanticism.
So Transatlanticism, title and registration, I think for me
Alone qualifies it.
is
I mean, I can.
Oh yeah.
like title and registration. Yeah, Sound of Sailing, Transatlanticism. I also love Passenger Seat.
Passenger Seat's beautiful.
Yeah.
Expo 86 is beautiful.
Expo
I love
86,
that song.
I was not a fan of when I first had this album, and
Yeah.
then, again, it really
It's
stood
one
out
of the
to
best
me.
pop melodies I've ever done, I think. Yeah.
Like, a couple years ago, I think, I rediscovered that one, and it's
Yeah.
really...
I mean, I'm just gonna say I think these two albums are really close.
Oh, I agree.
Okay, well, in that case, guys, well, I normally would like to come to a decision right now, but this is this podcast, so we're already throwing enough crazy things out there. Let's talk about plans for a second. Let's just do that. Let's just get this little plans party going.
They've never released a better set of songs than the
Ever.
first 5 on Plans.
You had me until you said first 5.
I mean, I think Plans is solid from beginning to end with the last two. No, with really only the last one song being a little weaker for me, but 1 through 10 I will listen to on loop.
Here's the thing. So, but we talk about the songs that we like. I want to get into the why. And I feel
fair.
like there was an emotional potency that they really had with transatlanticism, because really when you listen to the New Year, this is the New Year,
Yeah.
but I don't feel any different. Like there is potency to these lyrics. There's
You got that Muppet down.
yeah. I got the. Hey, listen, we're gonna have a
This
Muppet
is
off
the
during the
New
happy.
Year.
You can do any Death Cab song as Kermit
I've
the
got
Frog.
a hunger.
He even looks like Kermit the Frog when he
Twisting
performs.
my
Like,
stomach
he looks like a
into
Muppet on
knots.
stage, if you ask me. But anyway, and I mean that in the most
In
loving
a
way.
language that you can't read. We'll get into this more. But I would say that in transatlanticism, there is a disassociatedness. And again, the sound of settling, as joyous as it is, kind of has a little bit of a darker message. But Plans just dove the fuck in. Now, I will say, the Plans at times can be emo as fuck. And in particular, I'm thinking about Someday You Will Be Loved. And that is a song...
I don't know if you can do a ranking of Death Cab for Cutie's discography and use emo as fuck as a complaint. I mean, that's kind of what
Your
we're
Heart
here
is an Empty
for.
Room, though?
Right?
No! So, and let me
Reed
talk
has a lot
about
of
why.
feelings, guys.
I have a lot of feelings about Your Heart is an Empty Room, and let me tell you why. Because I'm polyamorous, and that song, I feel like, just speaks to my life. Like, very strong. And I don't think that that's what it was written about, which is fine. And sometimes I think that makes it a good song.
But then you have something like I Will Follow You Into the Dark, which after the commercial breakthrough that transatlanticism was, I feel like On Plans, and especially that song, Ben Gibbard has never written a more concise ballad than that.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I think that is one where and you can even call it it's a solo acoustic mic and vocal, whatever. You could call it gimmicky, but it is just a concise, contained, beautiful little song, which again he tried to do on fucking Hold No Guns, later on. He just can't. He didn't repeat it at all.
Because and the other thing I think about Plans, top to bottom, is that it's the poetry that you always want him to write, and he writes it solidly on this album, in my opinion. And it's there on a lot of the other albums, but it's not as
solid as
through.
it is on this one.
Now it's weird because when this album first came out, there was also it was right after the big success of the Postal Service as well, because the Postal Service was a slow burning success. I remember they're signed to a major label, they're gonna have a lot more synthy sounds, and they have more synths. They are very clearly two different commercial entities, and if you really want to gas, read some of the early reviews of Plans when they first came out, because post Postal Service, Ben Gibbard is it's almost all the reference, but
which is hilarious because that just means that none of those people knew what they were talking about, because Postal Service was released 7 months before Transatlanticism.
Yeah, but it didn't really gain popular. I mean, it was released, but no one gave a shit about it when it came out.
But that doesn't mean that that doesn't make it post Postal Service.
Post.
It's
Postal
Plans,
Service.
because Transatlanticism was already post
Postal Service. And also Postal Service, since we're talking about it, is
Can we say post Postal Service again?
Post Postal Service.
Post Postal.
No, this is during Postal Service. This
During.
is mid Postal Service. Ben Gibbard
Peak Postal.
is very much like him working with someone else. There's threads there, but it's not at all the same band. And anyone who says it is just.
You know what's really funny though? I did an interview with Chris Walla, the guitarist producer once, and he talked, and there was and I asked him about it because he said in an interview prior to, I want to say, Narrow Stairs release, where he said that I guess because he collaborates, even though Ben Gibbard is a songwriter, he's the producer, so they do a lot of collaboration. And he talked about how on the Postal Service album, quote, there were lyrics that Ben got away with on that album that I wouldn't have allowed. which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
And when I asked him about it, he didn't like have super specific examples because I think they didn't really necessarily have bad blood or anything. Maybe they do now, but and so I feel like Plans, if they were in more harmony, more configuration there, it's just like, okay, maybe the JFK song off of Postal Service album, but like, aside from
the whole sleeping in song.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, Wallow would not have allowed.
No,
that.
he would not have allowed
that
that.
whole
like,
thing.
What the fuck are you
Which
doing?
I'm so glad that it happened.
Yeah,
Right.
but
my favorite song on that album. But anyway, we're not talking about that.
Yeah, exactly. And they talk about they got a Grammy nomination for best like solo rock performance for "I Will Follow You Into the Dark," which he was happy about because like it's a guitar and a mic. That's all it is. I hit
Right,
record,
yeah.
and they got a Grammy nomination for it. But then you look about, and here's the thing: you talk about how the first 5 songs are perfect, and I have a lot of feeling towards this album. But honestly, I can't like Soul Meets Body, but especially Marching Bands in Manhattan doesn't strike me in the same way. Like Marching Bands in Manhattan is so surreal lyrically that I can't find necessarily an emotional grounding for it. Go ahead.
It's surreal, but at least it's about something. It's about like, I love you so much, I want these absolutely impossible things to happen. Like, and I
mean, a little surreal is good for your soul. So
also, that song for me,
drinking
it's
it.
much more about the soundscape that they create,
Yes. Okay.
and less about what the song
what
is
the song is about. I agree.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and then Soul Meets Body, I mean, maybe it was just the fact that it became a hit. I'm just like, that one never struck me in the same way. But when we talk about...
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it was my introduction to them.
And I also feel like it was their introduction for a lot of people, too. Like, that was entry point number 1.
I still absolutely loved... Like, Soul Meets Body is one of my favorite songs of all time.
Also, what Soul Meets Body did for me, and I'm guessing for you, even though it was totally different times in our lives, right? Because like Soul Meets Body for me equals freshman year of college, and it just like captured this little like
and Soul Meets Body
of time, and so even though I'm like now, I'm kind of just like, hey, it's this goofy pop song, and like I understand that, but
at the moment
it continues to pull out that moment for me, and not all songs live up to that. But Soul Meets Body definitely does. So if you didn't have that moment when you first heard it, it might fade.
Yeah.
I can see that, but
and as we just talked about before, Stable Song kind of sucks. Let's just get that out of the way. But when we talk about
which my favorite fun fact about Stable Song,
yeah,
it's actually a reworking of a song from an EP. I think it was a bonus track on the photo album. It's called Stability.
Yeah.
Yes.
Stability is a 12-minute version of Stable Song. If you ever needed to be more bored, you can go find that out.
Isn't that the same EP where they did the cover of Bjork's All Is Full of Love, though? I feel like that. And that is, I actually kind of dig that. That was actually pretty solid. But I will also say, and that's the thing, for an album that's so ballad heavy, and we could talk about the coda to different names for the same thing, that big instrumental rising action on the second half, which
different names for the same thing is that's a one that like I revisited and fell in love with. I mean, I loved it at the beginning.
I was always in love with it. I learned how to play that opening piano part in high school because it's pretty simple. But and I just
was that like one of the first things you taught yourself to?
Yeah. It was like Boston and then that.
Yeah.
But then the other thing I will say about the song is that it's so ballad heavy that especially when you have stuff like, the very moody but emotional Brothers on a Hotel Band, a song like Crooked Teeth, an actual rock song, just feels like a breath of fresh air. Because let's be honest, as solid as this album is, it lags. It still is a little bit dry in a certain sense, especially tempo-wise. And when you have moments like that, or even Soul Meets Body, it helps really punch it up a lot.
They're very
more
important for the album, I think.
Exactly.
But so the other thing I will say about Plans is I think it carries the most songs that you can take out of the album and like stick somewhere else, and they stand on their own.
Mm-hmm. Ooh.
Like almost all of those I can put on a mix or in somewhere, or just listen to the one song.
Yeah, because even like Brothers on a Hotel Bed, which isn't like it's not even the best ballad on this. It's not even the best like fully produced album on this. Fully produced ballad on this album, but that piano riff that you were just singing,
it's beautiful.
It's gorgeous, and you could easily put that on a mix CD for someone.
And you don't have to like get the Death Cab ethic or whatever it is to like that song, or to like Someday You Will Be Loved, for example.
Okay, now real quick, to backtrack just a little bit, are you still number 3 Transatlanticism? Are you still number 3 Narrow Stairs?
I'm gonna concede Narrow Stairs is number 3.
Okay. Okay.
With
But
the
with
caveat
reservations.
With the caveat that there are individual songs on Narrow Stairs that I think are better than all of Transatlanticism.
I gotta be
but
honest.
as an album, I might concede it to be number 3.
I have such a deep love of Narrow Stairs with its flaws and all and it's hard going up against Transatlanticism. Part of me just wants to fuck off the haters and just have Transatlanticism be number 3 and Narrow Stairs be number 2. There's that part of me that wants to do that really strongly. I'm totally okay with Plans being number 1. I guess I was a little surprised. I thought Transatlanticism would end up higher, but I don't know. I kind of want to do. Yeah.
Yeah, Transatlanticism is definitely my number 2.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
Okay, in that case,
we had a good run.
Guys, are you ready for this? Because here it is, right here. Our Death Cab for Cutie. I mean, God, I am not.
Totally different
I am
band.
not the first person to make that mistake.
We've had a lot of those tonight.
You could just do my dad used to always call them Death Cube for Caddy.
Yes,
oh my
he did.
fucking God, I hate that. So, guys, number 8, in terms of the Death Cab for Cutie Rankaroo, number 8 is
didn't
Codes
say
and
it wrong that
Keys.
time.
Number 7 is the photo album. Number 6, I don't know why it's this high, Kintsugi. Number 5, we have the facts and we're voting yes. Number 4, Something About Airplanes, the debut. Number 3, Narrow Stairs. Number 2, Transatlanticism. And number 1, Planes.
Plans.
Oh, yeah, that too. Plans. Something
Did
about.
you just say Planes?
I did.
Earlier you were totally
I was doing that
riffing on-
specific. It was a joke because I do something about airplanes. Whatever.
Right,
Exactly.
you're trying to mix everyone up.
Codes and album. That doesn't work as well.
What?
Kinsulands.
Codes-
Kent Sterling.
Yeah, Codes and Kintsugi.
They're actually just one album now.
All right.
They're
Whoa,
both
guys,
out.
that was an amazing debate that we had. So
Yeah, that was a lot
I
of fun.
appreciate it. Yeah, exactly. I was actually very surprised by the ranking. It's pretty good. The real question is, you, dear listener, do you agree? I don't think you do, but you might. But if you don't, here's what I want you to do. Go onto the Chartographers Facebook page and leave a note before. We've had some comments now already on it, and it's been a great debate to hear from people.
Give us your
I
ranking.
don't care if
We
you're on
wanna
this,
know.
if you're listening to this on the fucking SoundCloud or the iTunes or the Intune or however the fuck we have this formatted. Go ahead, jump on the Facebook, leave a comment. We want to know. It's kind of great. In the meantime, though, 2 things. Number 1, stick around because there is going to be a really awesome happy hour mini-sode where we talk a lot more about Death Cab and have our best Muppet impressions you've ever heard. It's going to be happening. You know it is. And 2. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Taran, of course, as always, for being here and being delightful and wonderful and a ray of sunshine in the life. And, Kerida, thank you for coming all the way out during Storm to see us here.
Of course.
Yeah, for all those lightning crashes, those were every time that Kerida said something we disagreed with. But it's totally okay. It matches up. Listen to it. In the meantime, keep on listening because, we'll be. See you at the happy hour. See you guys. Bye!